Thank you for being with us, all the participants. I think this is quite exciting. A little bit on the background of this study. We worked last year on the data on quality infrastructure, on the different components, accreditation, but also standards and metrology. And we established what we call the Global Quality Infrastructure Index. And based on that, we used also the data on cross-border accreditation, because this data is important to show especially the capability of countries which are using conformity assessment services. But on the other hand, this data can be also used for other purposes. And therefore, we said, why not to do a specific analysis on the data on cross-border accreditation. And as we studied this a little bit, we found out that this was the first comprehensive analysis of this kind of data. There you have the graphic of the Global Quality Infrastructure Index. It's like a heat map. The more blue, dark blue countries are the most advanced in quality infrastructure, and the deep red countries are less advanced, and that we see that the distribution of the development of quality infrastructure is quite diverse, and this applies also to accreditation data. The definition of accreditation, it's about giving trust in the system of conformity assessment, which refers to testing, calibration labs, and also to inspection bodies and certification bodies. And when we're talking about cross-frontier or cross-border accreditation, we refer to these activities of a national accreditation bodies when the accreditation bodies offers their services outside its home country. When we are talking about national accreditation bodies, there are some statements which are important. And first is the slogan, accredited once, accepted everywhere. The idea is that the accreditation bodies recognize their competences and that a user of a conformity assessment can be sure that the service in one country, signatory of these agreements, is also recognized in trade partner countries. One other aspect is that we are talking mostly about economies and not countries. This has to do with that we have some areas of countries which are not independent states. This applies especially to China, where we have this one China global policy, and we have accreditation bodies, for example, in Hong Kong and also in the province of Taiwan. Therefore, we are using the term economies, but in most cases, it's synonymous of countries. We refer also to different arrangements of accreditation bodies, and it's quite interesting that in some parts of the world we have very close collaboration of two accreditation bodies or of several in a region. And we will refer also to what happens when a country has no accreditation body, but establishes a national accreditation focal point, which is the focus for accreditation service in the countries and liaisons with other accreditation services abroad. When we talk about cross-frontier accreditation, we depart from the rule that usually accreditation services are provided in the same economy, in one specific country. But there are several exceptions, and you see here the number of exceptions. First, when an economy has no accreditation body itself, it needs to get the services from abroad. When the domestic accreditation body does not offer all the scopes, then it can be also provided from other countries. When the accreditation body has not the recognition or is not signatory of these international agreements, then it can apply also. Or if a conformity assessment client requires services from a different country. It can be also applied. Then also, as we have some conformity assessments which are operating globally, it can be also by request of the headquarter, and when certification bodies operate internationally. These are some exceptions which are clearly defined in guidelines by the international or regional accreditations corporations. What we have done in the research is we gathered data from the websites of 201 accreditation bodies in 184 countries. This is more than the countries covered currently as signatories of IIF and ILAC, the international accreditations corporations. But mostly covered by them or by their regional organizations. In some countries, we have several accreditation bodies. Therefore, the number of accreditation bodies is higher than the number of economies or countries. And when we have done, we gathered first the data based on the websites, and this was checked by a big part of the accreditation bodies, the data. And then we applied a so-called social network analysis. But with this, I will hand over to Andres Mata, who will give you some more explanatory remarks on what we have done.